welcome back to Bumblebee, everyone. I'm your host, Tereza, once again here to dish out some newfound info for you guys. This time, it's the top 10 newest archaeological finds that baffled scholars. Starting off at number 10, we're gonna disprove North American timelines with the Oregon rock shelter. It feeds my soul to watch the theories on the Ice Bridge and the Clovis hypothesis finally be widely accepted as disproven, as it's been a long-standing belief amongst indigenous communities that neither of those things are accurate to our history or ever happened. And lo and behold, as of last month, 2023, the Rimrock rock shelter was identified as the oldest human occupation site in North America, at least 18,000 years old. That means the Cooper's Ferry in Idaho and the Meadowcroft rock shelter in Pennsylvania, which are each respectively 16,000 years old, can suck it. Under an official partnership agreement with the Bureau of Land Management, archaeologist Patrick O'Grady and his colleagues have been conducting excavations at Rimrock rock shelter since 2011. In 2012, camel teeth fragments were discovered under a layer of volcanic ash from the eruption of Mount St. Helens, and they date back from 15,000 years ago. 2 orange agate scrapers were also found deep in the ash, one of which was found in 2012 with preserved blood residue, and the other in 2015. The preserved blood helped date the site. The animal was Bison antiquus, an extinct ancestor of the present-day buffalo that existed during the Pleistocene era. All of these recent finds and studies have pointed at the fading away of the Clovis hypothesis. If you guys are looking to escape modernity and reality, remember to take a moment to subscribe to the Hive and stay updated on archaeology, history, and discoveries as they're happening. Here's a riddle. What do a foot, some armadillos, and an ancient showboat have in common? Number 9, the Sacrificial Sinkhole. A discovery made in 2021 is getting its time to shine, even if it's from the bottom of an oceanic pit. After 2 years of studying and analyzing what they discovered, findings were presented before the 12th International Congress of Mayanists, which was held in June of 2023. Partially buried in the sand, a Maya canoe is hidden at the bottom of a sinkhole just 45 miles from the famed ancient city Chichen Itza. Carbon dating confirms it's a 16th century craft, but not one meant for travel. The bow and stern are abnormally heavy on the canoe, meaning it wasn't built for traveling, but rather for ritual purposes. The 38 bones found scattered around it are pretty consistent with that one theory. One metatarsal bone from a woman's foot, there's a bunch of armadillos, dogs, eagles, and turkeys. The Maya believed it was possible to access the underworld from underground caves or sinkholes, including those that were flooded with water, as the underworld in their lore was presumably flooded. If this was a burial at sea, sending a creature that can travel underwater like an armadillo and a canoe for the deceased next life is pretty polite. But then again, there's not a whole skeleton of a woman, just the sole foot. So we circle back to the conversation again of ritual instead of water burial. Once again, this relates to the armadillo, an animal that appears often in Maya mythology. There are known images in Maya ceramics in which an armadillo appears as a stool of the gods, with the characters placing their feet on it as if it's a footrest, explained an archaeologist from CNRS. This would be directly linked to the archaeological evidence observed in the sinkhole. Thankfully, the canoe and surrounding bones will not be removed from their current resting place at the bottom of the sinkhole. This is in accordance with conservation protocols adopted in 2001 by UNESCO. Number 8 might be a little more recognizable. I know it's all over my newsfeed at least. It's the Badge of Honor. So June of 2023 is one of the many months and years they've spent tearing up Vindolanda, a Roman auxiliary base with 9 forts total, situated near the Hadrian Wall. The respective forts were built between 85 and 370 AD, creating one of Britain's most complex archaeological sites and a unique cultural legacy of the frontier life. But it was their recent excavations focusing on the floor of the barracks building that uncovered a silver honorary filera disc normally worn on the breastplate of a Roman soldier during parades. This one specifically from the Hadrianic period. The disc reps Medusa, one of the 3 monstrous gorgons from Greek mythology who I feel like I shouldn't have to explain to you. You may be wondering, why are the Romans repping Greek deities? Well, it's not like Percy Jackson, the literal most inaccurate representation of mythology in media to exist aside from Thor in the Marvel comics. Roman culture drew on Greek myths, including the Medusa story. From Greek times on, this is a potent aprotraic to ward off bad things and keep bad things from happening to you, like an evil eye, art history professor John Polini said. This finding, however, is incredibly rare. There aren't many of them, obviously, because they were precious metal, Polini states. Eventually, most of them were probably melted down. The filera, alongside other findings, are currently being preserved at the Vindolanda lab. And on the topic of precious metals and treasures being found, number 7 is the the Bronze Dynasty tombs. Archaeologists excavating Halta Sultan Tekke near the coastal city of Larnaca, Cyprus since 2010 had previously identified chamber tombs in Cyprus loaded with valuable grave goods which they've been digging through for years, only to now discover some new royal tombs attached as well. This shrine was of great importance already due to one inhabitant, Haram, the Prophet Muhammad's paternal aunt. Featuring Ottoman and Islamic architecture, the Tekke comprises of a mosque, mausoleum, and a serene courtyard. However, this site was an ancient center of copper trading between 1500 BC and 1300 BC. Thanks to the recent discovery of royal tombs in Cyprus, it's the final resting place of the ancient elites who controlled that copper production and trading on the island. According to Peter Fisher, many of the grave goods were embellished with precious metals, gems, ivories, and high-quality ceramics. The gold and ivory inlays found on many of the grave goods were sourced in Egypt, while the precious blue lapis lazuli and red carnelian and blue-green turquoise are mined in Afghanistan, India, and Sinai. Meanwhile, the pieces of amber which they unearthed had been imported from the Balkan region. Most of the ceramic vessels were made in Greece, but some of the pots had been imported from Turkey, Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. The diadems, necklaces, and bracelets found on the skeletons were made in Egypt during the 18th dynasty during the reigns of pharaohs Thutmose III, Akhenaten, and his wife Queen Nefertiti. Peter Fisher said that while little is known about the social hierarchy between the 1500 and 1300 BC and the Bronze Age Cyprus, there is no doubt that the people interred in the tombs belonged to the city's ancient government, and many of the recovered bodies belonged to the elites who controlled the copper trade. Prepare to feel lucky because there seems to be a whole lot of it floating around. Number 6 on the countdown, which can only be called 222. Get ready for this. So almost exactly 2 years ago, 2 giant sculptures are found from 10th century AD, and they're in the southern Indian state of Telangana. Now, in June, 2 square pillars with giant sculptures have been unearthed, also in the Telangana region. 2 sculptures, 2 years pass, then 2 sculptures show up again. Lying in neglect near ruin, one of these pillars was carved out of solid granite and the other out of black basalt, featuring a variety of deities and gods. Both slabs bear inscriptions, the inscriptions in the Telugu Kannada script, a writing system used in southern India, but due to their attachment to the masonry walls of the sluice and the village tank, some of the inscriptions have become indecipherable. To gain more comprehensive understanding of these slabs, it'll be necessary to remove them from the sluice where they were placed almost 100 years ago after being removed from a dilapidated temple. Recognizing the archaeological significance of these sculptural pillars and inscriptions, archaeologists on the team are urging local villagers to safeguard the treasures. This is also to encourage a healthy culture of archaeological preservation wherein the local communities are involved in their historical and cultural heritage. The consensus so far is that the slabs should be removed from the sluice, restored, and placed on a pedestal where they were found, accompanied by proper labeling containing historical details. Time to get smelly, but in a good way. Number 5 is the Calcified Perfume. Romans smell like hippies, or hippies smell like Romans. Either way, it seems long-term worldwide consensus is that patchouli smells pretty great. Makes sense, seeing as it and vanilla are the 2 aphrodisiac scents that inspire arousal in all sexes. So, fun fact. The vial of perfume was discovered back in 2019 during the archaeological dig in today's city of Carmona, near Seville, Spain. Placed in a funerary urn in a mausoleum, the vial was perfectly sealed inside a quartz vessel, which casually dates back to around the time that Jesus walked on earth, or Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you want to call him. So naturally, they cracked that B word open to see what Yeshua and the homies back in the day were smelling like. To work out the perfume scent, they subjected the substance and its stopper to techniques like X-ray diffraction, infrared spectrometry, and all the other big words, which all revealed that the substance contained hydrocarbons, plant and insect bacteria, and vegetable oil, potentially olive. The essence itself, as mentioned, was patchouli. What makes the new find distinctive is that while in the past researchers have had plenty of vessels that held perfumes and ointments, their containers remained a mystery. To our knowledge, this is possibly the first time a perfume from Roman times has been identified. No matter how much firepower and destruction you throw at historical monuments, you can never really erase the past. Number 4 is all about the resurrected Assyrian relics. You may recognize the name of the Assyrian city Nimrud in Iraq, but not for good reasons. Like the Bamiyan Buddhas, it was ultimately blown apart in 2015 by a selective group of nutcases who I'm not about to name drop on YouTube. Thankfully, that hasn't stopped excavations, rather motivated archaeologists to further find and preserve as much history as they can. To protect the original fragments, they're now covered in a geotextile. During previous years' excavations, Penn Museum and Iraqi archaeologists discovered a partially shattered stone remnant, 2,800-year-old palace of Adad-nirari III, who ruled the Assyrian Empire from the capital city of Nimrud from 810 to 783 BC. Inside his palace, I'm not kidding, missing are the stone tracks for a portable heater that could be pushed from room to room. There's also the temple dedicated to the goddess Ishtar that was almost entirely destroyed when the city was attacked by an invading army in 612 BC. And several stone slabs in the palace revealed the genealogy of all the Assyrian kings leading up to Adad-nirari III, Rosetta Stone style. However, as of July 2023, we've got some new bits. Our greatest find this season was a spectacular fragment from the stone stele that shows the goddess Ishtar inside a star symbol, Dr. Dante stated in a Penn Museum press release. This is the first unequivocal depiction of the goddess Ishtar, a divine aspect of the goddess associated with the rising planet Venus, the morning star, to be found in this temple dedicated to her. Meanwhile, number 3 is about to give a lot of people some jaded context. For 8 years, Chinese farmers in the Henan province have had their equipment spit out 3,000-year-old jade pieces from the Shang Dynasty. Wildly, it took until now, 2023, for them to figure out where the hell these things are coming from. The answer: an entire lost Bronze Age city containing royal tombs that spreads an easy 1.2 miles of hills and grass. This find is massively significant for Chinese culture heritage, especially as it's being described as one of the largest early Shang Dynasty sites ever discovered, dating back around 1600 BC to 1046 BC. The archaeologists said that over the last 1,000 years, 13 ancient Chinese dynasties had their capitals in Sanchi, but recent excavations in the Xigu archaeological site have established the town as the largest in the region, with some of the wealthiest tombs yet discovered. Archaeologists have discovered hundreds of artifacts, such as finely decorated pottery, tools from early farming, tiny earrings made of gold and jade, intricately carved jade bird, and a cast bronze star inlaid with a piece of turquoise. Researchers also discovered polished tortoise shell, believed to have connections to other worlds and used for divination. It's speculated that after the regional takeover of the new town paid tribute to Shang, and based on the discovery so far, the archaeologists think that the 11 Hills is an entire settlement with tombs, central buildings, and artisan workshops waiting to be unearthed. Number 2 is a classic case of misidentifying important dead remains. It's the Ivory Person. It starts in 2008. A monumental tomb is found in Valencia, Spain, and holding a frail body of an incredibly important person, as indicated by the grandeur of the artifacts found with the body. Elephant tusks, ivory combs, silver daggers, crystal daggers, ostrich eggs, flint, amber, whatever. If you've watched the TV series Bones, or you know anything about medicine, you know when a body can't be identified due to tissue degradation, pelvic bone can give us a moderate age range and the sex of a body. In the case of the skeleton in the tomb, they were identified as a man 25 or younger and dubbed the Ivory Man. Consequently, errors can occur when using pelvic openings to determine biological sex, as proven by the novel technique to determine the true sex of ancient bones first introduced in 2017, which involves examining tooth enamel instead. Lo and behold, the teeth told the truth. Ladies and gents, as of July 7, 2023, the Ivory Man is a girl. This revelation about the woman and society she belonged to offers a fresh insight into the past and challenges long-held notions about prehistoric times, and subject a new study published in the Scientific Reports, which insists that the Ivory Lady must have held a high rank, as she was revered by her society for at least 8 generations following her death. Notably, no male tomb of similar status has ever been found in the same era of the region. And last but never least, especially seeing as it gets to be number 1, it's the Land of the Dead. Beneath monumental stone structures discovered at the archaeological site of Mitla in southern Mexico, it's been long believed that the ancient Zapotec people built a network of tunnels that ultimately led to the entrance of the Zapotecan underworld, or Land of the Dead. In 1674, long after the Zapotec people had been conquered by the Spanish, a preacher told of explorations of the underground world at Mitla by a group of missionaries. The group reportedly found a sprawling subterranean temple that featured 4 interconnected chambers holding tombs of Zapotec kings and priests. At the end of the last chamber, they said that there's a stone door covering an entrance of a deep cave that extended far below ground. The Christian missionaries were apparently more scared crapless than awestruck by the discovery of the underground city, which had been constructed by followers of the indigenous religion. They chose to seal the entrances to the underground labyrinth to prevent the surviving Zapotecans from entering their religious centers, and add insult to injury, they built a church smack dab over the tunnel's primary entrance. Locals and indigenous people claimed to this day that the main altar of the church concealed the entrance, and amazingly enough, the geographical survey of the site in 2022 revealed that was true. And now, as of 2023 and 3D technology, we know the presence of multiple underground chambers and tunnels winding through the earth was also also true. These findings will help rewrite the history and origins of the Mithla and its development as an ancient site, as well as providing valuable information for the management and prevention of seismic and geological risk in the area, the researchers said in a statement released by the ARX project. Alrighty, we are at the end of another exciting video. I hope you learned something new. If everyday news is too stressful for you, always remember to look up discoveries being made around you every day. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe and comment down below what archaeological sites you'd visit if you could.